Okay, today's story is called From Typewriter to Tree, Lightning's Fierce Impact. I have a couple of stories here related to lightning, and this first one occurred while living in Odessa. And it had been raining, there's a thunderstorm going on, and I'm out in the garage. I have the garage door open, watching it rain. And my wife Shelley is in the kitchen, which is real close to the garage, adjoining the door there. And she has an electric typewriter, and she's typing something on her typewriter during this time. Well, while I'm watching the rain, there was a bolt of lightning come like really close. Now I couldn't see where it hit, but it was strong enough for me to say, okay, I think I'm going to go inside the house. This is not gonna get any more lightning this close to me. So I just started going in the house, and then my wife, she's right there in the kitchen. She she started telling me that sparks had come out of her typewriter as she was typing, scared her to death. And later, as we explore the house, all of our light bulbs were blown out of the house. So we had to replace all our light bulbs in the house. Later, after the rain had went away, we were out in the backyard and noticed that we had water pooling on the ground, and it turned out that our water line had developed a leak. And it seems like that the lightning discharged down that water line, and it burst open the water line there. We end up having to replace the entire water line that went from the alley up to the house. And I looked around and I couldn't find any evidence of where that lightning struck, but it definitely got into the wiring of our house to where it blowing out light bulbs and sparks flying out of the typewriter. It definitely got some action going on there for sure. So the next story was when we were living in the city of Shirts. And I remember this one really well. Um, Me and Shelley were, at the time, we were in our bedroom. And this thunderstorm was in the area, and this is one of these thunderstorms where the lightning was from the cloud down to the ground, and it was very strong bolts of lightning. And you can time, we could see that the lightning was getting closer and closer and closer to us. And sure enough, it got hit really close to our home. And the best way I know how to describe this lightning, the sound of it, it just seemed to be, I don't know, clear, kind of a precise, crackling, crisp sound. It was just like really clear. There's no doubt that it wasn't your normal boom. It was like you were right there at where it came down at. Anyway, so we go outside to trying to see where the lightning hit, and we discovered pretty quickly that it hit a tree across, straight across the street from us, right you know, we're probably talking, just a street, the length of a street away from us, from our house. And so some obvious signs of that it hit the tree is there was smoke coming off. There was smoke coming up from the ground around that tree. There was dirt that was thrown from that tree around the base of the tree. Dirt thrown into the middle of the road. Bark from that tree was flown up on top of the roofs of the houses around there. I think even the neighbor's roof, there was bark that flew off, that went up that high and onto the roofs. And unfortunately, there was a dead bird on the ground that got fried by this one. So, and I think after talking to our neighbor across the street, I think it fried some of his electrical equipment in the house too, from what I remember. And over time, he eventually had to cut that tree down. It was a goner for sure. And those two, that one in Odessa and the one in church, so those are very memorable experiences with lightning. And just thinking about it, I just thought that. Remember when I was littler, and in Odessa, I remember there was a storm. We were I guess my dad and several of us were outside watching the storm. And there was two bolts of lightning that met each other or something. It was very unusual what it was, and it must have made a special sound. But they observed that one, and the two separate bolts kind of met each other and there in the sky. It's kind of barely remember, but I just remember it was noteworthy at the time anyway. And while we're talking about lightning, the result of lightning is what? Thunder, right? So, one of my favorite kinds of thunder is this rolling thunder. Just love the heck out of it. And it just, you get the initial thunder, then it just keeps on going and going and going and going. And I think you can hear this thunder just go further into distance. And I think it can last over a minute. That thunder just keeps on rolling on down. Just love the heck out of that kind of thunder. Well, anyway, that's the end of this story.